Hello, YouTube. Welcome to Level-Headed News. This is your host, Brenda. I have 16 articles for you this morning. All the URLs are in the description of the video for your convenience. First one here is off of Newsmax, and it says, Paris police shoot hammer attacker who cried, "It's for Syria," at Notre Dame Cathedral. Police officers shot and wounded a man who attacked officers with a hammer near Notre Dame Cathedral on Tuesday. Paris police and a police union official said. Union official Cedric Michael said a man armed with a hammer went after police who were patrolling the esplanade in front of the world-famous cathedral known for its Gothic architecture and gargoyles. A police spokesman told the Associated Press that an officer used his weapon to shoot the assailant. The spokesperson was not authorized to be publicly named. He said the unidentified attacker was taken to the hospital. French Interior Minister Gerard Collomb said the attacker cried, "It's for Syria," as he went after the officers. The Paris prosecutor's office said the investigation was opened Tuesday soon after the attack. The attacker was shot and wounded in the incident in one of France's most popular tourist areas. Police officers seal off the access to Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris, France, Tuesday, June the 6th of 2017. Paris police say an unidentified assailant has attacked a police officer near the Notre Dame Cathedral, and the officer then shot and wounded the attacker. Speaking of the attack, Cullum said the police found kitchen knives, a hammer, and other unsophisticated weapons on the wounded assailant. Paris police tweeted that one officer was wounded in the attack. The incident happened around 4:30 p.m. Large numbers of police cars filled the area on El de Site Island in the Seine River in the center of Paris. Hundreds of people on the esplanade in front of Notre Dame were evacuated, and authorities urged people to stay away from the area. People inside Notre Dame, the nearby Saint Chapel Cathedral, and area bars and cafes were told to stay inside. Witnesses described a dramatic police operation in the tourist-filled area. Lawrence Langner, a 73-year-old American visiting the neighborhood just across the Seine River from the cathedral, told the Associated Press that he suddenly heard a commotion and two detonation-like gunshots. Journalist David Mathieu, who said his office overlooks the square that fronts Notre Dame, tweeted that there were two blasts that sounded like shots. Looking down from his office, he saw a man inert on the square. The police didn't seem interested in him at the beginning, Mathieu said. "I thought he was dead." They then checked his pulse, and medics later came and took him away on a stretcher. Others posted photos online of what appeared to be the interior of medieval Notre Dame, one of France's most visited monuments. Police spokeswoman Primevert told the Associated Press that just before 5:30 p.m. the operation was over. She did not provide further details. Paris remains under high security after a string of Islamic extremist attacks in recent years, including several targeting police officers and security personnel. In April, an attacker opened fire on a police van on Paris Champs-Élysées, killing one and gravely wounding two others. The attacker was shot dead by police. The incident recalled two other attacks on soldiers providing security at prominent locations around Paris, one at the Louvre Museum in February and one at Orly Airport in March. The next article that I have for you is off of Zero Hedge, and it says Saudi Arabia gives Qatar 24-hour ultimatum as analysts warn of military confrontation, imposing a naval blockade in the immediate aftermath of the Qatar diplomatic crisis, one which left the small Gulf nation not only politically isolated and with severed ties to its neighbors, but potentially locked out of maritime trade and crippling its oil and LNG exports. On Tuesday, Sky News Arabia reported that Saudi Arabia has given Qatar a 24-hour ultimatum starting tonight to fulfill 10 conditions that have been conveyed to Kuwait, which is currently involved in the role of mediator between Saudi and between Saudi and Qatar. While there was little additional information on the ultimatum, and more importantly, what happened should Qatar not comply, Al Jazeera reported that Kuwait's Emir Sheikh Sabah Al Ahmad Al Jaber Al Shaba left Saudi Arabia on Tuesday after holding meditation talks mediation talks. I'm sorry. Wow, I was wondering what's a meditation talk. A mediation talk with the Saudi King Salman bin Abdul Aziz to try to defuse an escalating crisis between Arab countries and Qatar. No details were given on the talks. In addition to Saudi Arabia's aggressive approach, Egypt's foreign ministry accused Qatar of taking an antagonistic approach towards Cairo and said all attempts to stop it from supporting terrorism or terrorist groups failed. Qatar denied the allegations with a foreign ministry statement describing them as baseless on Monday. Speaking to Al Jazeera, analyst Giorgio Cafiero of Gulf State Analytics, a geopolitical risk consultancy based in Washington, D.C., said, I think the Kuwaitis, as well as Oman's, fear the prospects of these tensions escalating in ways which could undermine the interests of all 6 members of the GCC. There are many analysts who believe that a potential breakup of the GCC has to be considered right now. If these countries fail to resolve their issues and such tensions reach new heights, we have to be very open to the possibility of these 6 Arab countries no longer being able to unite under the banner of one council, said Capirio. He added that if tensions escalate, some have warned of a military confrontation. The next article is off of BizPack Review. The mayor of London wants President Trump's UK visit to be cancelled. The Muslim mayor of London wants the British government to cancel a planned state visit by US President Donald Trump because he's upset that Trump criticized his lax stance on terrorism. I don't think we should roll out the red carpet to a president of the USA in circumstances where his policies go against everything we stand for, Khan told Britain's Channel 4 News. There are many things about which Donald Trump is wrong, and there is video of him if you want to pull it up and listen to what he has to say. He says basically Khan is upset that Trump slammed him for blithely telling Londoners there's no reason to be alarmed after the latest terror attacks at London Bridge that killed 7 people and injured 48. Media is acting like Trump's comments came out of the blue. Khan previously said Europeans must get used to Muslim terrorist attacks because it's part and parcel of living in a big city. In contrast, Trump vowed, we will win this fight against terrorism, we will destroy ISIS, and we will protect civilization. India, which has a larger population than London, has never suffered an Islamist terrorist attack because the Japanese government restrictive stance on Muslim immigration. Similarly, Hungary and Poland are not targeted by radical Islamic terrorists because they have hardly any Muslims living there. Meanwhile, Shahid Khan has always been an apologist for Muslim terrorists. In 2002, Khan defended 9/11 terrorist Jagariz Musini, or however it's pronounced, who confessed to being a member of Al-Qaeda. And there's video of it in here if you want to watch that. The previous year, Khan was the lawyer for the Nation of Islam and successfully overturned the High Court 15-year ban on its anti-white, anti-Semitic leader, Louis Farrakhan. Try this again. In Sadat Khan's London, most police do not carry firearms. Terrorists and other criminals use guns, but the cops aren't allowed to. That's why eyewitnesses said they saw unarmed police running away from the terrorists on London Bridge, leaving citizens to fend for themselves. And there's a bunch of tweets here of people saying just that. For keeping track of the dead bodies piling up, here's a scoreboard for Ramadan in 2017. It says on day 11, Terror in the Name of Islam, attacks 59, kills 627. It says we are on track to match the Ramadan bloodbath from 2016 at this rate, thanks to the deadliest policies of the Muslim apologists like Saqib Khan. And then final score from Ramadan for 2016 was 238 attacks and 1,850 kills. The next article we have is off of the Common Sense Show with Dave Hodges, and it says, breaking. A Hillary conviction is being offered up in a deal between the deep state and Trump. They say that little things come in small packages. This will be one of the most concise and condensed articles that I've ever written. However, it may prove to be one of the most important I've ever written since I broke the Benghazi mutiny story about 5 years ago. Please note the caption in the picture above, which says, how special interests that violate health, human rights, and the environment have pre-purchased the Clinton presidency. It says, obviously, Hillary did not become president. However, she is going to jail for her actions in pursuit of the office. Hillary Clinton is being offered up as a sacrifice by the deep state. I was told by very reliable inside source that Jeff Sessions was closing in on the alleged pedophilia allegations against John Podesta and Hillary Clinton, and this was going to prove doable because Anthony Weiner and possibly Huma Abedin were going to turn state's evidence. Weiner is taking his chances in jail, 27 months. However, Attorney General Jeff Sessions is closing in with the foreign support of President Duterte and Vladimir Putin on child sex trafficking emanating out of the United States elite deep state. Yesterday, even Putin said the deep state assassinated John Kennedy. And with each passing day and with each child sex trafficking arrest, the deep state risks more exposure to both their existence as shadow government and their true nature. The light of day is something that the deep state will not permit, so a deal is being made, which will be revealed in the paragraphs in this article. The sources. Since the election of Donald Trump, I have been receiving information from an FBI employee, non-specific, and 2 State Department employees. One of the State Department employees and the FBI employee must remain anonymous. One State Department employee, Monica Weslowski, and she can provide confirmation to some of the ancillary revelations in this article. Clinton will be offered up on a platter. Yesterday, I read no less than 6 articles in which the DNC officials want Hillary to just go away. The fact that these stories were released on the same day is not a coincidence. This is part of the deal that's been made between Donald Trump and members of the deep state. This is the primary reason why former FBI Director James Comey was fired when he was. His loyalty to Clinton was a threat to this arrangement. Here are the links to a few of these stories emanating from the DNC and the media who are distancing themselves from Hillary. And there's links to a couple articles here. One of them is off of the Russian Insider. It says even Clinton's groupies, CNN, are fed up with Hillary's pathological bullshit. One of them, the other one is also off of Russia Insider, and it says Hillary Clinton dazzles Memorial Day crowd her favorite anti-seizure glasses. Remember, Hillary was not supposed to be ill. Where did this come from? Hillary Clinton, Chelsea Clinton, Bill Clinton, James Comey's brother, run finances for the Clinton Foundation are under FBI investigation as I write these words. The tips to Jeff Sessions were provided by sources close to Clinton, presumably deep state operatives. Hillary will very likely go to jail or at a minimum receive a suspended sentence and pay a big fine. I have been told that the Clinton Foundation will cease to exist in its present form. Some may remember that I broke the story from the same sources that Podesta had been caught converting Clinton Foundation assets to gold, art, etc., and then hiding these assets. I stated at the time that Hillary knows that RICO will soon come knocking and that total asset forfeiture will occur. Podesta is trying to stay one step ahead. Clinton will not go down for child trafficking, drug dealing, money laundering, or gun running. The deep state is feeling the heat because the most prominent members of the independent media have been relentless in their pursuit of these activities, especially child sex trafficking. I was told by my sources that the deep state, that even with the support of the media, cannot contain these revelations. They do not want a sleeping public to be aroused by a story that would dwarf Watergate. To the best of my knowledge, this has not hit the mainstream media yet, but it will very soon. Hillary is being investigated by the FBI for pay for play and misusing her authority as the Secretary of State to get Lois Lerner, the IRS director at the time, to prosecute an African national government official who is living inside the United States if this African official does not help stop the investigation into a government official from Bangladesh who participated in pay for play with regard to the Clinton Foundation. There is a second African nation that is subject to this investigation as well for the same reasons. I've agreed to not release the identity of the second nation because it is too close to one of my sources. Please note that Hillary will be going down for pay to play and not for drug dealing, gun running, or child sex trafficking. She will also be charged with malfeasance of office with regard to the IRS issue. In exchange, Trump gets to purge much of the deep state that is embedded in the FBI and the State Department. All three sources, including Weslowski, have told me that their supervisors have cleaned out their desks. Many are taking retirement. In Monica Weslowski's case, her supervisor and her supervisor's 2 levels up are all leaving. Monica said that her office is almost empty. The purge is already beginning. The story is a work in progress, and there will be updates. I chose to publish what I know at this point because I wanted to get it out in front of the mainstream media spin that will undoubtedly be coming in order to deceive the public. I asked the question, does this mean that Trump is backing off the child sex trafficking? Nobody's certain. Please note that the allegations that will be coming Hillary's way will have nothing to do with the big 3 criminal activities of the deep state. One final note, Wasserman Schultz, according to my FBI source, better have lots of bodyguards because in trying to distance herself from the related Seth Rich murder, she's bringing the same kind of attention that the deep state's trying so hard to avoid. I will be offering counterpoints to the MSM as this story is about the pay to play begins to break in the mainstream media. I'm also providing a video which validates the claim that Hillary has been ditched by the DNC leadership. Finally, we now know why Hillary was not prosecuted by Trump for the emails when he took office. The next article I have is off of Liberty Writers, and it says, "Caught red-handed. Nobody saw who Trump just caught leaking secrets today." A 25-year-old woman named Reality Lay Winner, I guess that's Lee, Reality Lee Winner. Now, I can't believe that's her real name, but that's what all these articles are telling us. Okay, so a 25-year-old woman named Reality Lee Winner has been accused of leaking top secret information to the press in charges filed by the Justice Department. This is huge. Leakers have been disrupting President Trump's administration since his presidency began, damaging the reputation of the administration and causing massive security risk. Winner had top secret security clearance and was working for a government contractor, Pluribus International, in Augusta, Georgia, since February the 13th. According to the Justice Department complaint against Winner, she printed and improperly removed classified intelligence reporting, which contained classified national defense information from an intelligence community agency, and unlawfully retained it. Later, she allegedly sent the information through the mail to a news outlet. These documents contain classified information about attempted Russian interference in voter registration systems last year. I find it so hard to believe that anyone would want to compromise our national security by leaking classified information, but it has been happening more and more lately in an effort to undermine the Trump administration. Luckily, Winter, who sounds more like a loser if you ask me, has been caught and will hopefully be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law to deter other potential leakers. The next story is off of BizPac Review. It says, first NSA leaker is finally under arrest, and she clearly had a major axe to grind against President Trump. Over the weekend, the first domino fell in President Trump's call for arrest and prosecution of those who leaked classified information to news agencies, as a 25-year-old federal contractor was arrested and is facing criminal charges. Only an hour after The Intercept published a story about Russian hacking attempts on local voting officials in the 2016 election, Reality Lee Winter, with removing classified intelligence from a government facility and mailing it to a news outlet, according to the Washington Examiner. The Augusta, Georgia resident who worked for Pluribus International Corporation from a Georgia government facility and held a top secret security clearance appeared on the day, although it wasn't yet clear from the Justice Department whether or not Winter leaked the Interceptor's source material. The May 5th date matches both the article and the affidavit describing the charges. The Intercept used what is called a highly classified intelligence report they obtained to publish a story about a Russian government hacker who hacked one U.S. voting supplier and sending spear phishing emails to more than 100 local election officials. The NSA source material makes no assumption about whether or not the hacking efforts had any impact on the election. In their investigation, after receiving a copy of the document from The Intercept prior to publication, the U.S. government's agency examined the document shared by the news outlet and determined the pages of the intelligence reporting appeared to be folded or creased, and suggested they had been printed and hand carried out of a secured space, the affidavit read, according to the Examiner. Of the 6 people to print the document from the computer, Winter was the only individual with email contract with a news outlet. From the affidavit, it says, Winter further acknowledged that she was aware of the contents of the intelligence reporting and that she knew the contents of the reporting could be used to the injury of the United States and to the advantage of a foreign nation. During that conversation, Winter admitted intentionally identifying and printing the classified intelligence reporting despite not having a need to know the truth, or try this again. At issue despite not having a need to know and with knowledge that the intelligence reporting was classified. During a Fox News appearance with Martha McCallum, House Oversight Committee Chairman Representative Jason Chavez praised Winter's arrest. See if we can get to scroll up a little bit more here. Okay, it says, when you have classified information, you cannot put that out there because you think it would be a good idea, Chavez said. I want people in handcuffs and I want to see people behind bars. They have hundreds of thousands of people that have security clearance. We are supposed to be in, or try this again, there are supposed to be safeguards in there. But how many times do we have to see this story happen? They obviously don't have the safeguards. Winter's attorney told the Associated Press that his client has no criminal history, so it's not as if she has a pattern of having done anything like this before. She's a very good person. All this craziness has happened all of a sudden. Except Winter, as many on the right have suspected, about a good percentage of so-called deep state operatives clearly has an axe to grind. And they've got a photo here that you can't really make out much about it. It's to be her Facebook page, and she's got something on there about Trump where she makes some comments about him. Make out really what it says. It's in little tiny print here, and it's included in a tweet that Josh Chaplin put out. And a little bit, there it goes. Alleged NSA leaker reality winner called POTUS a piece of shit on Facebook over his administration handling of DAPL. Here's a screenshot of her calling the president a piece of shit on Facebook. Okay, so now here's what it said. Here's what she typed. It says, you have got to be shitting me right now. No one has called the White House, shut down their phone lines. There have been protests for months at both the drilling site and inside the White House. I'm losing my mind. If you voted for this piece of shit, explain this. He's lying. He's blatantly lying. And the second largest supply of fresh water in the country is now at risk. And that seems to be the end of that article. More here. And the hamster can catch us up with this next batch. I don't know that I reality winner stuff. I mean, I've heard some, but that one's got to take the cake. With the way they like to play games with us, I just don't know. Got them up here. Okay, this first one is off of Girls Just Want to Have Guns. Is running as fast as his little him in that wheel. It says jailed White House leaker believes being white is terrorism. Reality Lee winner stealing top secret information and providing it to the online news outlet The Intercept. The complaint was filed in the U.S. District Court in Georgia. The winner is accused of removing classified material from a government facility and mailing it to a news outlet. In Augusta, Pluribus International since February the 13th. There, she secret clearance. On May the 9th, according to the complaint, winner printed improperly and improperly removed classified intelligence reporting which contained classified national defense information from an intelligence community agency and unlawfully retained it. She then mailed, envelope, stamped, the whole 9 yards, the information source a few days later. But that isn't all. Winner is a clear Trump hater, distance activist. She put out a tweet. It contained Trump's tweet that says, legal system is broken. 77% of refugees allowed since travel reprieve. 7 suspect countries. And she tweeted back saying, Trump, the most dangerous entry was the orange fascist we let into the White House. is littered with the evidence. Reality that being white is terrorism. She put out a tweet saying, you should make as being white is terrorism. Being a huge supporter of Black Lives Matter, too, she message that says, when we deploy all lives matter as to correct an intervention created to address anti-blackness, we lose the ways which state apparatus program of genocide and on the blacks. Or on, try this, mostly on the backs of black people. There we go. Beginning with the theft of millions of people for free labor. And then adapted to control, murder, and profit off other communities of color and immigrant communities. We perpetuate a level of white supremacist domination by tired trope. No, I lost my place there in that. Try that again. We perpetuate a level of white supremacist dominated by reproducing a tired trope that we are all the same, rather than acknowledging that non-black oppressed people in this country are both impacted by racism and domination and specifically benefit from anti-black racism. And she tweeted statement with this remark. It says, this is not the week to remain silent. Black Lives Matter. It's kind of shocking someone like this would be allowed to have a security clearance as high as she did. Here is her self-admission, part of the resistance. She put out a tweet that has at alt USDA, hashtag no USDA blackout, hashtag resistance. And there's more of the same thing all the way down through this, whole bunch of her tweets, and it's all the same nonsense. Reality even wrote to foreign minister of Iran saying she'd stand with Iran over America. She says there are many Americans protesting U.S. government aggression towards Iran. If our tangerine-in-chief declares war, we stand with you. And she had this to say about Mexico. Hashtag Mexico, hashtag FTW, twitter.com/Vicente Fox, and it goes on with that, where she's going on, and hashtag Effenwald, Twitter. Wow. More and more of her. It says, how does a 25-year-old girl like this get a high security clearance? Honestly, what standards has our politically correct society lowered security to? Here's how they found her. Eric Geller says DOJ just announced charges against someone who had intel to a news outlet. Description matches 5517 NSA report. It says here's how the NSA identified intercept source OPSEC, and gives what looks like to be part of a document in that tweet. Oh, it's a criminal complaint. That's what it is. And he's got that in several tweets there. So if you want to pull that up and look at that for yourself, you can. I don't know whether I buy all this or not. I mean, dummy up anything on Twitter and Facebook and all that to try to make people believe whatever it is that they want to believe. I mean, they've obviously had to pin this on this person really even exists or not would be a good question. I don't know that I buy it. You know, I'm going to pretend I'm from Missouri right now and just say, you got to show me, because I don't buy it. The name's fake. I think that the Twitters are fake. I think the Facebook posts are fake. I think it's fake, 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 fake. But hey, time will tell. I'm just not going to swallow it all. The next article is off of Liberty Headlines. It says FBI arrest NSA contractor who leaked Russian hacking document. More on our friend Fakey Name. Let's see. It's earlier this afternoon, The Intercept reported that according to a top secret NSA document, Russian military intelligence executive executed a cyber attack on at least one U.S. supplier and sent a spear to more than 100 local election officials days before the election. NSA document reportedly dated May the 5th analyzes recently acquired intelligence about a month-long Russian intelligence cyber effort against elements of the U.S. election and voting infrastructure. The document notes that investigation only began in the last few months. The document claims the investigation was spurred by information that became available in April of 2017. According to the Intercept report, most derailed, or I'm sorry, is the most detailed U.S. government account of Russian interference in the election that has yet come to light. It is said to reveal that the Russian hacking may have penetrated further into U.S. voting system than was previously understood, and states unequivocally that or in its summary statement, that it was Russian military intelligence, specifically the Russian General Staff Main Intelligence Directorate, or the GRU, that conducted the cyber attacks described in the document. This is what the document alleges. Russian General Staff Main Intelligence Director actors executed cyber espionage operations against a named U.S. company in August of 2016, evidently to obtain information on elections-related software and hardware solutions. The actors likely used data obtained operation to launch a voter registration-themed spear phishing campaign targeting U.S. local government organizations. Where the story gets more interesting, however, is that just hours after The Intercept reported on the top-secret document, the FBI arrested and charged the woman with the your name of reality Lee Winner. Yeah, see, somebody else has picked up on that. They say leaked the top secret document to The Intercept. This is what the DOJ released moments ago. Federal government contractor in Georgia charged with removing and mailing classified materials to a news outlet. A criminal complaint was filed in the Southern District of Georgia today, charging Reality Lee Winner, a federal contractor from Augusta, Georgia, with removing classified material from a government facility and mailing it to a news outlet in violation of 18 U.S.C. Section 793E. Winner was arrested by the FBI Saturday, June the 3rd, and appeared in federal court in Augusta this afternoon. Exceptional law enforcement efforts allowed us quickly to identify and arrest defendants, said Deputy Attorney General Rod J. Rosenstein. Classified material without authorization threatens our nation's security and undermines public faith in government. People who are trusted with classified information and pledge to protect it must be held accountable when they violate that obligation. And yet Hillary Clinton put classified information on a unsecure server so that anybody could get a hold of it, and she the next article that we have is off of keepingbear.com. This is out of my backyard here in Indiana. The billboard or the backboard backlash. Indiana's Muslim community is outraged. And you need to pull this one up and take a look at this. The billboard says in big letters across the top of it, "The perfect man." And then it's got these checkpoints, and it says married 6-year-old, beheaded 600 Jews in one day, slave owner and dealer, 13 wives, 11 at one time, rapist, tortured and killed unbelievers. And then it's got their website address underneath that. And it's Oh my goodness. It says Muslims in Indiana are outraged after a billboard titled "The Perfect Man" went up with facts about their prophet Muhammad. They believe that the sign spews hatred and lies about their religion. But the sad part is that the facts aren't wrong. So why are they so upset? Perhaps they are embarrassed for everyone passing by to know the truth about Islam's holy prophet. The billboard can be seen on Interstate 6 or 465 from the southbound lanes on the east side near the Washington Street exit. The billboard, which has been up since at least Friday, can be seen by thousands of drivers coming in and out of Indianapolis every day. And I know where that's at, and it's right close to the airport. So you know that people coming and going out of that Indianapolis airport are all saying that. And a message, or its message, say members of the local Muslim community promote hatred of Muslims and their faith. As a Muslim and American, I'm outraged, said Rima Shahid, the executive director of the Muslim Alliance of Indiana. I didn't think there was room for hate in our city and our state, and this billboard tells me otherwise. Shahid is a Hoosier, born and bred, but says the billboard's message makes her increasingly feel unwelcome in her own home, a state where she says 3% of the population is Muslim. So most people have never met a Muslim, and these billboards and these things, people that have never met a Muslim will probably think they're true, and it's simply not the case, Shahid said. Do they have room to be upset? Should the billboard be taken down? Well, if she is in denial that that's what Muhammad is all about, then perhaps she needs to go see her imam and have him explain to her that everything on that billboard's true. I don't understand why she's in denial. That would be my question. The next article is off of Breitbart. Muslim groups unhappy with Indianapolis Perfect Man billboard. The billboard in Indianapolis, Indiana, has stirred controversy among local Muslim groups, says Fox 59 report. The billboard, seen going southbound on I-465 near the Washington Street exit, mocks the Prophet Muhammad as the perfect man and lists 6 bullet points about Muhammad to describe him. Include married to 6-year-old, slave owner and dealer, rapist, beheaded 600 Jews in one day, 13 wives, 11 at one time, and tortured and killed unbelievers. I was a little disappointed when I saw that. Farrell Katrit, or however he pronounces his name, of the Islamic Society of North America told Fox 59, support free speech, but we do realize this is also rooted in bigotry, he added. According to Fox 59, Muslim Alliance of Indiana plans to raise money to put up its own billboard close by to spread a message of peace and kindness. Just have to ask these people, well, this is what your man did now. Why are you in denial? The next article is off of Breitbart. It says ex-Islamist stop saying violence has nothing to do with Islam. British Muslims have been urged to stop pretending violence and terrorism are completely alien to Islam. The call was made by Majid Nawaz, a former leader of the UK branch of the hardline Islamist group Hizb ut-Tahrir, otherwise known as HUT. Mr. Nawaz, a broadcaster and author, was speaking on London's LBC radio in the wake of Saturday night's terrorist atrocity in the British capital, in which 7 people were killed and more than 50 injured. In response to caller questioning whether Islam had anything to do with acts of terrorist violence, he had this to say. When the Prophet Muhammad said, "I have been ordered to fight the people until they declare there is no God but God and Muhammad is his messenger." That's clearly got something to do with this violence, doesn't it? Majid suggested. The caller, Muhammad, said he would need to know the context of the sentence before he could fully agree, saying, "Okay, so let's agree that context is important," Majad said. "Interpretation is important, but let's not pretend it's got nothing to do with violence, because making the argument that we need context acknowledges that we are having a discussion about violence and placing violence in its context within Islam. That's different to saying violence has got nothing to do with Islam." Mr. Nawaz explained why the link must first be understood. Why this is so important, because when listeners hear Muslims like yourself say it's got nothing to do with it, they think that you're trying to shirk responsibility and sidestep very important task that faces all of us to challenge extremism within our mosque and our communities. Of course, that may not be what you intended, but it sounds like that to the listeners who are not Muslim. It sounds like you're making excuses so as to not go about doing the work that all of us have to do, which is to challenge extremism. Mr. Nawaz has previously taken issue with Muslims who try to redouble their faith from random acts of Islamist terrorist violence. As Breitbart News reports, in 2016, he stated that Islamist ideology needs to be named and challenged. And under the U.S. President Barack Obama, that's simply just not happening. The next article is off of Breitbart. And while the hamster's looking for that, let me get a few more articles up here right quick. The hamster's working on this Breitbart article. Working this morning. Here we go. It says there's video in this. It says Islamic State destroys statues, burns down cathedral in the Philippines. Islamic State jihadists fighting to establish caliphate in Marawi, the Philippines' only Islamic city, released a video this week showing complete destruction of Mary's Cathedral. ISIS terrorists affiliated with the local jihadi outfits group and Abu Sayyaf in May, taking Christians hostage who could not recite Quranic verses, Islamic State flag over the city's mosque. President Rodrigo Duarte imposed a 60-day martial law period over the entire island of where Marwai is located, an airstrike offensive against the terrorists. Philippine authorities believe that many of those fighting in indigenous jihadis, but foreigners who have traveled to help establish an ISIS Amok news agency has helped bolster releasing two propaganda. The latest release this week, jihadis with cathedral. Similar to the videos that showed the destruction of the Mosul Museum in Iraq, down all the statues Catholic Church with hammers and stomping on them. A large cross that adorns the church, as well as trampling the baby Jesus and tearing apart a photo of Pope Benedict the 16th. The terrorists then set the building on fire. It's unacceptable. It's obvious that their actions are really out of this world. It's demonic. Bishop Edwin told Marwa, said in the article posted on the Catholic Bishops' Conference of the Philippines. According to Philippine Inquirer, by what happened, our faith has really been trampled on. previously confirmed the abduction of Vicar General Father Sognub, along with a number of other church officials and believers in the church at the time. It happened, in fact, on the eve of Mary's feast. We ask her for help because only she can come to our aid, De La Pena said in a statement. Make an appeal to Pope Francis to pray for us and to ask to release the hostages in the name of our common humanity. The terrorist featured Sognub in a video released last week in which the priest stands before a pile of rubble and implores Duarte to cease the airstrike campaign against ISIS or they will kill all the hostages. Piece of that video, Amak published another short film showing terrorists fighting on the streets of Marwai, greeting each other with Allah Akbar. The Inquirer notes that some of those seen in the latest video appear to be teens and young adults, fitting the profiles of the terrorists that eyewitnesses have provided the media. Military officers tell reporters their intelligence suggests that they have no plans of fleeing and have stockpiled weapons and food in the city, expecting an extended battle. There are underground tunnels and basements that even a 500-pound bomb cannot destroy. Major General Carlito Galvez, head of the military command in Western Minando, told the BBC. While the struggle to liberate the city of its ISIS presence continues, police announced one major breakthrough on Tuesday. Senior leaders of the Maut group who had attempted to flee to Davao, the Minado city where President Rodrigo Duarte governed as mayor for 22 years and continues to call home. Among those arrested was Mora Mota, the father of the Mott brothers, who gave the terrorist group its name. Duarte is now offering a 5 million peso, which is like $101,040, each of the Mott brothers. Abdullah and Omar, the leaders of the local terrorist group. The government is also offering twice that for the capture of Islam Hapalon, I guess it is, the head of the Abdu Saif. The United States has also placed a $5 million bounty on Hapalon. Both Motwe and Abdu Saif have pledged allegiance to ISIS Caliph Abdu Bakr al-Baghdadi and appear to be working together in Marwa. One Islamist group that has not joined forces with ISIS affiliates, however, is the Moro Islamic Liberation Front, or MILF, and its affiliate, the Moro National Liberation Front, MNFL, Muslim separatist group that have supported Duarte since his presidential candidacy, was announced largely due to his regard for Muslims, is Nation South. Has offered to fight alongside the armed forces of the Philippines, AFP, against ISIS. The MILF has called for the release of Father Sognub, citing his efforts to foster interfaith trust. The next article is off of libertyheadlines.com, and it says, National security expert says time for real assistance against jihadis. Security and foreign policy expert Walid Fairs called on ordinary citizens to form a real resistance against the threat posed by radical Islamic terrorists during an intervention Monday on the Laura Ingraham Show. Since President Donald Trump's election, outraged liberals have labeled themselves the resistance, staging protests and engaging in any effort to undermine the president's agenda. Fairs, a former advisor to Trump during the campaign, said the real and present danger facing the world are deadly actions carried out by jihadis. Instead of having the national leadership, I'm talking about mostly Europe and other countries in the West, advising citizens as to what to do. My concern now is that the government needs to step forward and tell the nations that we are in a war, unlike in the last 8 years of the Obama administration, Fair said. And that is what Trump has been trying to do over the last few weeks now. Tell the public that we need to resist, be the real resistance against the jihadis, Fairs added, and then see what else we can do. As a prime example, Fairs pointed to reports stemming from Saturday's London Bridge and Borough Market attacks in the British capital that described bystanders throwing bottles, chairs, and other items at the terrorists when one of the terrorists attacked a bar or a restaurant. For the first time, we hear that the citizens who threw the tables and bottles at him, that is the spirit of resistance, Fairs said, adding that if the government tells the people that everything is normal and don't do anything, it only serves to demoralize them. Fairs appeared to be alluding to London Mayor Saqib Khan's statement following the attacks, which he said, "My message to Londoners and visitors to our great city is to be calm and vigilant today. You will see an increased police presence today, including armed officers and uniformed officers. There is no reason to be alarmed by this. We are the safest global city in the world." UK Prime Minister Theresa May also offered remarks that seemed to dismiss the scale of the threat. "Everybody needs to go about their lives as they normally would," she said. "Our society should continue to function in accordance with our values." Fairs urged Europe and the US to steadfastly pursue stricter immigration policies and extreme vetting in order to begin dealing with the increasing global threat. At the beginning of civilization, the Romans, they had this saying: first, you survive, then you do all the philosophy you want. We are with terrorism in a similar stage, Fairs said. The government needs to ensure the survival of the population, even if these are still dispersed actions. They are growing in numbers. What happened to vetting? We've been talking about vetting for the last 10 years. Nothing has happened. And when there is an attempt by government to begin looking at vetting, it is charged as Islamophobia, Fairs said, alluding to Trump's blocked travel ban executive order awaiting a Supreme Court hearing. So we need to make sure that whatever the policy is on immigration, it be preceded, not followed. We don't vet after migration. You vet before migration. That's why we need to change that policy. Unfortunately, there is still a lot of opposition to Trump's administration attempt to create a re-vetting system. The next article I have is off of Newsmax. It says, NSA secret report shows Russia hacking attempt just before the election. Highly classified National Security Agency report details how Russian military intelligence attempted a spear phishing email attack just days ahead of the 2016 presidential election, The Intercept reported. The website said it verified NSA document and redacted certain portions it deemed not vital as the national interest, but declined an NSA request not to write about or publish the document at all. Russian General Staff Main Intelligence Directorate actors cyber espionage operations against a named U.S. company in August of 2016, evidently to obtain information on elections related software and hardware solutions, the document read. The actors likely used data obtained from that operation to launch voter registration themed spear phishing campaign targeting U.S. local government organizations. There is no indication the hacking effort was successful in influencing voter counts, though it was able to get into the voter registration system. The attempt worked like this. The spear phishing email was sent to local government workers from an email account posing as an e-voting vendor. If the recipient opened Microsoft Word document in the email, their computer would be infected with malware that allowed the Russian hackers to take control of their computers. Their phishing email was sent to an unidentified voting system vendor that took employees to fake Google websites where their login information was requested. At least 7 potential victims at the company were identified by NSA. The report said it is unknown whether the aforementioned spear phishing deployment successfully compromised all the intended victims and what potential data from the victim could have been exfiltrated. But the Intercept noted it appeared the hackers obtained information it wanted since they sent the spear phishing emails October 31st or November 1st to 122 email addresses associated with named local government organization, most likely involved in the management of voter registration systems. The attempt does not appear to have been able to have changed election outcomes, but instead could have affected the system which verifies voter identities and registration and could have slowed down the voting process in certain areas. This slowdown is similar to an online denial of service attack where a website is shut down by multiple attempts by hackers to access the site, thereby allowing actual users to access the site. The Obama White House in January reported on U.S. intelligence work that had found Russian government attempts to affect the election, but was less detailed. The Russian government has denied any such efforts, with Russian President Vladimir Putin telling NBC's Megyn Kelly in an interview aired Sunday that the American intelligence agents have been misled and aren't analyzing the information in its entirety. Any hacking could have been done by patriotic Russians not affiliated with the government, or could have been perpetuated by state or non-state actors in any other country who put false Russian fingerprints on actions, Putin said. Meanwhile, NBC reported 25-year-old Reality Lee Winner has been charged with leaking a top-secret document to news outlet, according to the Smoking Gun. Winner is charged with leaking NSA reports to The Intercept. The next article is off of Conservative Tribune. Dem in Russia probe says there is no smoking gun. In an appearance on CNN Sunday, Democrat Senator Mark Warner of Virginia, of the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence, said there was no smoking gun on collusion between the president's campaign and Russian officials, in spite of an almost year-long investigation. Warner made the comment on CNN State of the Union after host Jake Tapper asked him whether or not there had been any evidence of collusion that you have seen yet. Warner answered that question in the negative. Listen, there's a lot of smoke, Warner said. We have no smoking gun at this point, but there is a lot of smoke. And again, one of the questions we will have, not only for Director Comey on Thursday, but on Wednesday for the Director of National Intelligence, Coates, and NSA National Security, Admiral Rogers, I'm going to want to ask them, because there have been reports that the president also talked to both of them in terms of asking them to downplay the Russian investigation, Warner continued. Turning to me. All smoke, no gun. And after a year of investigation and innuendos, they're still sifting through the ashes, trying desperately to find fire. It doesn't help that Hillary Clinton has been pushing the narrative that she knows the president is responsible. At a conference in California last week, Clinton said, in terms of Russian interference, I'm leaning Trump. I think it's pretty hard not to. I think the marriage of the domestic fake news operation, the domestic RNC, Republic Allied data, combined with very effective capabilities that the Russians bought. To his minimal credit, really wasn't willing to take this presumptive step. Trying to get it to scroll down here a little more. Says, I'm not where Secretary Clinton is in terms of jumping to conclusion, Warner said, but this is one of the many questions that we need to investigate. And we still don't have any smoking gun or evidence of collusion. But they need to keep investigating. At least Warner acknowledged that the evidence clearly isn't there yet. So no matter how much smoke they seem to be seeing, they don't have a smoking gun. The next article and final article for this morning is off of Capital Press. It says farmers, ranchers have unprecedented meeting with Ag Interior Secretaries. 10 Idaho and farmers. And I think they left something out there, but okay. I think it was, should say ranchers and farmers. Spent an hour meeting with Agriculture Secretary Sonny Perdue and Interior Secretary Ryan Zink June the 2nd. They covered a wide range of topics important to the state and nation's farming industries. Boise, Idaho. It says farmers and ranchers described private meeting with 2 of President Donald Trump's cabinet members June the 2nd as unprecedented and historic. Instead of addressing the group, U.S. Agriculture Secretary Sonny Perdue and Interior Secretary Ryan Zink listened and took notes, according to those who were there. They just didn't have an agenda. They truly wanted to listen to us, said Aberdeen potato farmer Richie Tubus. It was a pro-producer meeting. It was a completely different experience than I've ever had. They didn't really say much. They let us do the talking, said Jerome Dairyman Mike Roth. I feel like I witnessed a little bit of history today. Idaho Farm Bureau Federation President Brian Searle, a farmer from Shelley, said he was floored by the nature of the meeting. I'm still in shock that they didn't talk. They just flat out sat there and listened, he said. During the hour-long meeting, given 5 minutes each to present, they covered a wide range of topics, from immigration and the importance of labor to aquifer recharge, food safety, Modernization Act requirements, NAFTA, the U.S. Sheep Experiment Station in Du Bois, invasive water species farm bill funding, the Endangered Species Act, Equal Access to Justice Act, and grazing and other federal management issues. A lot more could have been covered, but those that spoke hit on many of the issues important to most of the commodities in our state, said meeting participant Rick Wally, Executive Director of Food Producers of Idaho. He said Perdue was writing like crazy as people talked about their various concerns, and Zink asked for specific names when it came to certain public lands issues, a development that impressed other meeting participants as well. Searle told the secretaries that 10 years after the Idaho Supreme Court agreed with Idaho ranchers that the U.S. Bureau of Land Management can't own stock watering rights on federally administered land, they're still trying to take those rights. When that was said, Secretary Zink said, "Give me names," Searle said. That was a bright spot. The fact that they actually sat there and listened to 10 of us producers talk about issues that are affecting us is completely unprecedented, Jerome rancher Laurie Lickley said. I think that we will have the opportunity with this administration to continue to address and actually solve the problems that we talk about today. The meeting was set up by Idaho State Department of Agriculture and kept on track by Governor Butch Otter, a Republican rancher. They sat there for a solid hour and listened to 10 different producers, Otter told the Capitol Press. In every case, both the secretaries ended up with one question: what can we do to help you? That's refreshing. Gould's intent was to have producers from Idaho major farm industries talk directly to the secretaries rather than being represented by somebody else or having that information filtered, said ISDA spokeswoman Chanel Tellalt. So there you have the information that I have for you this morning. The news as I know it, the hot topics. If you like what I'm doing here, give it a thumbs up, share it on your social media so everybody gets to hear the news, and don't forget to subscribe. That way you'll stay informed. Have a great day.